Hello, my name is Tashika Lawson and I am with the Historic Westside Revitalization. Normally we would actually be broadcasting on our page, but we have been running into a lot more technical issues than we would have expected. So instead I'm going to post over here and then we're just going to actually share it onto the main page, and then that way everybody who wants to tune in is able to do so. So over the last week, we actually had a pretty major development for the Historic West Side, and that would be the actual $500,000 that was actually awarded by the MGM Corporation to the Mayor's Fund of the City of Las Vegas to be used to establish an actual community, a family farming facility on the site of James Gay Park. Why is that something that we wanted to be covering? Is because, as anyone who's actually watched any of our videos regarding James Gay Park, this is actually a community asset that's been pretty much a bone of contention for a long time inside of the West Side. This is a park that has the probably one of the best landscaped and well-maintained parks that's going to be in the entire historic West Side area. It's only one of 3 that is actually available. And the thing that you're going to actually notice is that this park has been closed for like 8 years or more. So I'm sure you've actually tuned in before. If not, please go back and watch. This is a park that is actually bordering the freeway. This is one of the only barriers for things like cleaning the air. This is probably the only place that you'd be able to see that has such large, lush trees that are going to be in the area. And the community, when it came to, hey, you are a person who's inside of the West Side community and you wanted to find out what was actually happening with the planning department regarding this park, the community actually showed up in unprecedented numbers. So we had our conversation with the city of Las Vegas regarding what was supposed to be happening at this park. What we were told was that this was just going to be a housekeeping type of a thing where the planning department needed to, instead of having a bunch of individual little parcels, needed to kind of pull them together so that they can actually start doing the process to getting this land prepped for development. We were told that we could expect this to be a very long and lengthy process after it was, and that nothing was really going to start or nothing was set in stone, which is why we see seeing this city of Las Vegas pushing through a lot of the planning. So we went down to the city and actually had a presentation showing that the dialogue that we're actually receiving inside of the West Side is completely different than the dialogue that we're actually looking for, that we're seeing in the form-based code, which is the new aesthetic plan and building plan for building inside of the historic West Side. So that went through planning. It went through, I believe, early at the end of August, and that one was actually approved through. We had community members come down to both the planning department meeting. They came down to the city council, and we're saying, leave the park a park, leave it alone. Just open it up, because for what we can see, we've got people who just want to be able to enjoy a park like any other places in town. We were surprised from what we see, we actually put down, we did a presentation like anybody else. We have the conversations, and we're doing everything that we can think of, having the conversations, asking what we need to be able to do, and what we ran into with the park was something that was a bit unexpected, and that's that even with the community saying that they would like for the city of Las Vegas to come to them before they just decide things, because this is a community asset. We understand that this may be owned by the city of Las Vegas, but the city of Las Vegas is composed of you, me, and our tax dollars. So this, as we're seeing, we ran into an issue of there may be something going on that maybe not everybody is aware of, except the people who are actually executing the plan. So just recently, we were actually notified that maybe we should actually ask some different questions. And that would be starting with something as simple as the actual planning commissioner for the historic West Side when it comes to Ward 5. So we were actually told that maybe we should actually ask some questions of, instead of what's the plan, find out what's actually happening. So we were recently told, and we're hoping that we will be able to get some concrete proof on this, is that the planning commissioner for Ward 5 actually works for MGM, which is why he excluded him. He reclused himself from actually voting on the James Gay Park initiative. So as you can see, with the planning commissioner actually working for MGM or one of their subsidiaries, and MGM having an actual direct hand in, especially now that we're seeing $500,000 going directly to the mayor's fund to actually put what is, quote unquote, if you're looking at their press release, the first community-based garden for family farming in the Westside. That actually is not true. The first community-based garden was the Vegas Roots Garden that is located off of Bonanza and Tonopah. This garden has actually been in place since 2010, and it actually has been struggling this whole time. They actually request title sponsors so that they can actually, just keep on supplying some of the actual like produce. They had fresh chickens, and we were recently told that this place is going to close. That is a bit disheartening when we hear that this organization, Vegas Roots, was struggling for so long, and one of the things that they could have benefited from was actually having an actual title sponsor who would be able to help to bridge the gap. And we're seeing, as this is announced to close, that instead of us funneling money into organizations that currently could use that funding and are actually uniquely positioned to be able to bring to bridge the gap for the food inequity inside of the historic West Side. Instead, we're going to move that and go again after a park. So someone asked us, what are we after? And our initiative is very simple. The thing that we're after is, let's be efficient, let's be equitable about what's actually happening. So if you're looking at franchises that are around the country, when it comes to like food, we see that we have a variety of different food co-ops that are going to be inside of the Las Vegas area. And $500,000 would go a long way towards, like establishing smaller bodegas that could be community based and that would be dispersed throughout the West Side to address an actual like food security issue, instead of spending $500,000 to purchase prefabricated buildings, which are going to be container like homes or container like structures that have already been pre-built out by, from what we can see, this is a plan that's been in motion for a while, and no amount of what we've actually seen from the community's engagement saying, no, we would like you to come back and talk to us first. We would like, maybe this isn't the best place for it. Please leave our park here. We would prefer to have so what we're seeing is that there is no community engagement from the level of people who actually care about what's happening. So we hear people saying, oh yeah, well, we want to bring jobs and we want to bring homes. I don't know about you, but I don't just walk into I don't go in and kick people's doors in, go in and then tell people that I'm just going to, I like this couch, I'm going to take it out. I like that over there, so I'm going to move this over here. Like, you don't just walk into other people's houses and then just start moving things around. When you're from the perspective of a person who's in the different departments, you have initiatives that are coming down from on high that are going to, actually be the thing that it directs what you do. So we understand that from our perspective. But when it comes to the little things that you need to do to dot your I's and cross your T's, community engagement is crucial. It's required. And in fact, it is part of the plan that actually got the community's approval. And that was to establish a commission or an actual CDC, a Community Development Corporation, whose sole responsibility was to actually look at what is happening inside of the West Side and be able to work through things and make sure that things that are coming in are projects that are approved and are actually going to have the best chance of being able to be supported both by the community who's already there and has sustained this neighborhood for this entire time, and the community that they would like to bring into the neighborhood. As you see, we have development happening all over the city. In fact, it has happened all around the West Side. The census tracts that are inside of the West Side are going to be part of the economic development zone. They're going to be opportunity zones. In fact, there is more money to be had and saved and invested in this one area in town than almost the entire city. But instead of us actually sitting down, bringing all of the community leaders, instead of having a meeting with this person over here and a meeting with that person over there, we're doing things all scattershot, and that is part of the issue. Now, MGM, we know that you reached out to Historic Westside Revitalization. That's something that happened. We both know that it did. You gave us a call. And one of the things that was asked from us is to supply content. We wanted to know the context in which the content would be used. We're having a meeting later on that day and requested for the MGM to send us over what they were looking for so that we as an organization can look through our content and find out what is actually required and what is needed and the things that we could help supply to community organizations. But one of the things that we want to make sure is that the engagement is happening at the community level. So our content is proprietary. I'm sure everybody knows. They see us everywhere. We attend as many meetings as we can, and we share information, but that is proprietary. We are out there hitting the pavement to get this information. We are actually talking to people. We are walking door to door and asking, what would you like to see? And the overwhelming amount of information and the overwhelming engagement that we have is that please stop dictating what is going to happen in our neighborhood without asking us, one, if we want it first. So if you're the MGM or you're the city of Las Vegas, we know that we've actually seen them multiple times that are going to be either in our videos or simply, just giving us calls trying to figure out what is actually going on. Please reach out to us. We would like to make sure that at the very least, we are actually passing information between the two entities that actually need to be able to talk. People are afraid that you're going to do what you're doing, which is what, as the city, they're afraid you're going to do exactly what you have been doing for years, which is whatever you want without the community's approval, without the community's support. And we see this happening again and again and again. So when we see the city of Las Vegas talking about, no, we get communities approval, come out to the meetings and simply listen. Listen. I'll use something that we all know. We have things like mass shootings happening. When people talk, they're thinking that they're going to talk about, what's happening. What is happening with these kids? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. You can blame everything. But until you listen, there's no point of you coming to conclusions on your own. Because you are missing a pivotal part of the information that's needed to address the problem. You're only one part of this. And that is from the city, the county, the state. The people decide what happens in their neighborhood. The people. You are a person who's sitting in a government office. You're a person who's moving all of these little blocks to make the plan that you want. But if you continue to do this, if you continue to just go off of whatever plan does not just talk. Don't just be talk. Don't just say words that you believe are going to be approved by everybody except this community. If you want to have that engagement, don't send notices that no one's going to receive. Talk to people in the languages that they hear. Do the things that you would expect and want people to do for you. That whole do unto others, that does apply to you as well. So, We just wanted to make sure that we address this issue. So if you are the MGM, we know that you have a massive amount of employees. We know that you have people who are looking at content well ahead of time before you spend any money. So you're telling me that as an actual organization that has all of these resources, you could not send one person to the planning department or to the community meetings when you knew the money was going to be spent? Corporations don't just drop $500,000 without there being a lot of red tape in between, and any time between somebody coming up with that idea and that money actually being approved to go out. At any point, you could have actually come to the community and said, hey, we would like to help. Where would we be best used? Because that is what true community is. We don't want for people to tell the Westside community what you want. We want for you to come and listen and lend a hand. Lend a hand. We have a lot of people who are afraid of simply dealing with the gaming commission here, because guess what? We had a lot of gambling. The historic Westside is actually the home of the Black Strip. If you were a person of color, you could not entertain yourself the way that you could a person who is Caucasian, a white person could not entertain themselves. We couldn't attend the Strip. We couldn't be there. So we had to make a completely self-sustaining model in this neighborhood. We already know where we need to spend this money. We know what our kids need. We know what our families need. So stop dictating what you want in this neighborhood. It's not that hard. Would you be happy if a bunch of people picked up any random homeless person and then dropped them off in your front yard and then kept on doing it and then set up a homeless shelter in front of your house? Because that's what's happening here. It's not hard. And most of the times I try to be a fact over feeling person, and the truth of the matter is these are facts that I'm coming to you. But the only thing that people seem to be understanding is when we raise our voice and have others who look like us raise their voice together with ours. So if that is what it's going to take for people to stop doing things that they want in the Westside, then we need to raise our voice. We need to actually go down and talk to these people who simply think that they know all the better things that could happen in this neighborhood without talking to the people who are there. Because I can guarantee that if everybody who has nothing to do, all of the people who were laid off by the MGM just showed up at city council at 9 o'clock tomorrow, or any day that they happen to be meeting, and simply voice their opinions like we see these maskers doing over at county, and then shut down all dialogue until we have an actual resolution that is community focused. So again, if you've got no time, come and talk to the city. If you're a person who simply is upset that the people who we're paying our taxes to continue to do things against what you have requested repeatedly, go down to your city, go down to your county, go down to these meetings. They have public comment available at the beginning and at the end. You can even talk on why they're actually having some of these presentations, as long as you follow the rules. We have to follow the rules. We can't grease the wheels like a government entity can for themselves. And that's what we see happening. We have to go through red tape to be able to get approval, to be able to get funds, to be able, don't come to us after the fact. If you took the time to go out and find the money, that means that you had an ample amount of time to check off those items on the list before you got to the point where, oh, this is the last thing that we need to do to move forward. We know that community engagement is required at every level. So if you are a person who's watching this and you know that you did something wrong, you know that you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, everyone has to accept consequences for for their own actions. And that includes our cities. That includes our officials. The consequences for your actions are, remember, we voted you in, we can vote you out. You may be hired into a place, but enough complaints for any one of you will get you fired. And that's the video for today. I will be recording 2 others, but I wanted to make sure that at the very least we addressed this today. So thank you for tuning in. We are looking forward to talking to you guys. We'll make sure that we have our videos posted in a nice and timely manner going forward, but don't be surprised if you see more content than normal. Thank you, and you guys have a wonderful night.